Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about the Student Action on Canadian Water Attitudes competition that's happening this spring. The reports will be due the first day of May. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about us and what we do, and about you, and about the Student Action competition on Canadian Water Attitudes. And in that, we're going to talk about choosing a topic, discussing ideas, project ideas, things to remember. We're going to talk about baseline surveys, educating the community, the grand prize, acknowledgements, the next webinar, and contact information. So there will be 2 webinars for this competition. This is the first one. And then the second one will have all of the rest of the steps that are involved in the competition. So we have been a registered charity since 1998, and we send water testing kits to schools, and we have other water education programs. My name is Nicole Hancock, and I'm the Executive Director here at Safe Drinking Water Foundation. And currently we basically have one other staff member, and her name is Ashley Arcand, and she is the Education Programs Assistant and the Kit Coordinator. What grade are you representing? Please take a moment to type the letter in the chat and see what other grades are represented. So take a moment to do that. So if you're K to 4, type an A. If you're grade 5 to 8, type B. And if you're grade 9 to 12, type C. Where is your school located? Type the number which corresponds to where your school is located. So if you are in the territories, actually Yellowknife or Northwest Territories or Nunavut, then please type 1. If you are in BC, please type 2. If you are in Alberta, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba, please type 3. If you are in Ontario or Quebec, please type 4. And if you are in the Maritimes, so Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, or Nova Scotia, please type 5. So I'll just give you a minute to do that and see each other's responses. Okay, so about the competition. So it will allow students to investigate, educate, and report on a water issue in their community. It is open to K to 12 students across Canada, and the project must take place in Canada. So it can't be in the United States or overseas, for example. There will be one national grand prize valued at $3,000 for the top school in Canada in the kindergarten to grade 8 category, and one national grand prize valued at $3,000 for the top school in Canada in the grade 9 to grade 12 category. Each national grand prize will include a water bottle filling station, a commemorative plaque, and possibly some reusable water bottles and or water testing kits from our organization. And all of you are receiving sponsored kits as well because you signed up for the competition. There will also be a prize package for the top school in Saskatchewan, and it is valued at $2,200 and includes a water bottle filling station and a commemorative plaque. And if the top school or top schools in Canada is or are located in Saskatchewan, then the second or the third place school in Saskatchewan will win the prize package valued at $2,200. So this is the outline for the competition. So first you need to decide on a topic on which to focus. So for example, do many people in your community leave the tap on when they brush their teeth? Maybe you want to focus on telling people to turn the tap off when they brush their teeth. Then there will be a preliminary survey. So you'll have a sample group. So you can ask your family members and your friends to participate. And once you've decided on a topic, see how much your community knows about it already. And then you can inform the community by creating educational materials based on your survey results. And after your first survey, you will teach your community about your topic and how they can be part of the solution. And then in the follow-up survey, you'll follow up with the exact same questions after you have informed your sample group to see the difference you've made. Then you'll get your report. And in your report, your class will create a report that presents what you have learned about your topic and what you did to change people's attitudes and behaviors. And it will be submitted and reviewed by a panel of judges as well as SCWF staff members, so myself and Ashley, Based on the report, the judges will determine the winners of the grand prize. Are there any questions at this point? So I can see that there aren't any questions at this point. So I'm going to continue on. So we're talking about picking a topic. So discovering an issue. So some issues that you can think about is you can think about your local bodies of water and their uses. So for example, here in Saskatoon, the river, the South Saskatchewan River, flows right through basically the middle of the city. And there are beaches alongside the river. So a lot of people go to those beaches, and I am pretty certain that not every person picks up their garbage. So that could be a way that the river is being polluted, and I might want to educate people to not do that. That if you're going to the beach, leave the area at least as clean as you found it. Contact environmental groups or watershed authorities in your area to see what issues they have thought of. Think about where the water you use comes from, what happens to it before it comes into your house or school, and what happens after it leaves. And this is an essential component of the project. This is a must. Students must raise awareness about where their community's water comes from. So consider the ways you use water, or how others in your community use water. Is the water being wasted? So for example, leaving the tap on while brushing your teeth, or taking long showers. So you want to target an activity like that, a behavior like that. You want to encourage people to either take shorter showers, or to turn the tap off when they brush their teeth, or to not water their lawns when it's going to rain later that day anyway. So think about if you have any ideas for your project. So do you already have an idea in mind for your project? If so, then let us know. If you aren't sure about the topic you have in mind, share it with us and we can help you. And with your topic in mind, you can think about whether it is a rural or urban water issue and how much you already know about the topic. You can think about where you could find more information and if you have any family or friends who are knowledgeable about the topic, or you might want to reach out to a local environmental organization or water organization. Here are some examples of potential projects. So turning off the tap when you brush your teeth or wash your hands, reducing the time that it takes to shower, not running the dishwasher or washing machine until it is full, instead of hand washing dishes, filling up the sink with water, flushing with less water, as old toilets use a lot of water, so you can reduce your usage so if you don't have a water conserving toilet, then you can sink a half-gallon jug of water in the toilet tank. So basically that's a 2-liter pop size bottle basically. Water outdoor plants early in the morning because you'll need less water, since cooler morning temperatures mean that less water is lost to evaporation. But sometimes people say to water it in the morning or in the evening, but if you water in the evening, then it can promote mold growth. So you probably want to water early in the morning. So you might have to get up earlier to do that. Use less electricity, so it takes thousands of gallons of water to cool down a power plant. So if you use less water, if you use less power, then a lot of people use less power, then less water will be required for that. So here are some questions to consider for projects. So local bodies of water and pollution. So think about what some causes of water pollution are, where the water comes from before it comes into your home, what needs to happen for the water to be drinkable. And in terms of energy consumption, think about how energy use affects our environment and how much energy is required to treat and distribute a liter of water. Remember that reducing water use can save energy, which might mean less pollution in the air. So there is the benefit of less water, saving energy, and also saving energy, reducing the amount of use of water. So are there any questions? So I'm just going to take a minute here to see if there are any questions. Okay, so we don't have any questions. We're going to move on. Preliminary survey. So once you've chosen the topic, it is time to take a survey. So you'll conduct a survey to see what your community knows about the issue. And later you'll conduct a follow-up survey after you've educated your community to see how you changed attitudes and behaviors. You can also have other surveys if you want to conduct further research. These questions will help you learn what attitude your community has on the issue, so it's important to do the survey before you educate your community. So how to ask questions. So it's important that you ask questions that are easy to answer in a few words. Yes or no or short answer questions. If you ask questions that require a whole paragraph answer, then it's really hard to compare them and basically to get your data from them. Your questions need to be specific. So for example, do you leave the tap on while brushing your teeth or washing your hands? And all surveys must ask that essential question, from where does your water come? You'd be surprised probably at how many people do not know where their water comes from. So who should you ask? You should ask friends and family. Please only survey people you know, people with whom you are comfortable. We do not want students to go door to door to survey people. We don't want them to survey people in a mall, for example. We want them to stay safe and stick to people that they know and trust. So you can ask your friends and family to ask their friends and family, but remember that this project needs to take place in Canada, so only Canadian friends and family. So this allows your survey to reach a lot of people in your community, and the more people you ask, the more information you will get. However, consider that when you ask your friends and family to survey their friends and family, that whoever you ask will need to take part in the follow-up survey later, and they'll need to be educated. So for anyone's data to count, they have to have done a preliminary survey, be educated, and take a follow-up survey. You need to survey the same people when you do the follow-up survey. You can also survey other classrooms. So when you distribute your survey, you could send out an email, so that way your survey can be easily passed around to friends and family and can be accessed quickly. You could have a Google form, so you could use a Google account and create a Google form, and that would allow you to record the answers of everyone who does your survey. So it would go automatically into a spreadsheet in your Google Drive, for example. Paper copies. So this might be easy if you're if you're doing this in assembly or going from class to class. So you could pass out a paper copy, and that will give you a chance to talk to your audience and explain your questions if necessary. And it's an easy way to survey other classrooms of students at your school, or to do the survey during a school assembly. You can also survey people face to face, so you can talk to your friends and family, you can ask them questions, and you can write down their answers. So for baseline data, see if you can get a few specific answers to show a difference in attitude. So consider, can you tally all of the people who have a certain attitude or action on the issue? So for example, can you figure out how many people know where the water comes from and how many people do not? Can you figure out how many people take showers that are longer than 7 minutes and how many people take showers that are shorter than 7 minutes? How many people leave the tap on when they brush their teeth versus how many people turn the tap off when they brush their teeth? So what to do with the answers you get from your survey? So baseline data, make sure that your first survey gathers all the required information so you can report accurately on the change in attitude. And remember that every project must ask that essential question, from where does your water come? You need to record how many people have the correct response. You need to educate your community about the location of their water source. Don't just name it. Encourage them to care, so talk about how much water is drawn from the source, talk about what might pollute the source water. So for example, here in Saskatoon, like I say, our source of water is the South Saskatchewan River. But I wouldn't just name that if I was doing the project. I would show people a map of the river and tell them where it flows from, where it flows to, things like that. And I would tell them about what might pollute the source water, for example, the people who are on the beaches and leaving litter. So then ask this question again at the end of your project and see how the number has changed. So for example, the first survey showed about 60% of people asked had the right answer, but at the end, 90% knew where their water comes from. And it needs to be an open-ended question. It needs to be, from where does your water come? Don't give them multiple choice or true or false. Just have them name it, see if they can. So to get accurate data, you might have to ask questions without telling your audience what your project is. So for example, if you're um, thinking about having people either take shorter showers or turn off the tap when they brush their teeth, you might want to ask questions about both, because for one thing, that will tell you perhaps where the issue lies, what behavior needs to be changed. And for another thing, it might make them not easily realize your target and then, not tell the truth to make it seem like they're doing the action they want you to do already. So for example, if someone knows that you're trying to get people to conserve water by taking shorter showers or by turning off the tap when they brush their teeth, they may not tell the truth. So here's a baseline data example. So have your school put out an announcement to ask the students to time how long their showers are every day, but don't tell them why you need to know. Visit other classrooms at your school and give them a paper survey to complete that asks them how much time they spend in the shower per day, whether they have a low flow shower head, and from where their water comes. And you could also add in, for example, do you turn the tap off when you brush your teeth? Like I say, to see if that's also an issue, and also so that perhaps they aren't sure which action you're targeting. So calculate the average to get a representation of the school and use this as your baseline data. Educate the people surveyed on the effects of using a lot of water and how they can use less, and inform them about from where their water comes. So you're going to want to educate them about how much water is used per minute of showering, some tips and tricks to take shorter showers, and how much water can be saved if they use them. So ask them how they have taken action by taking shorter showers, and measure the amount of water saved and the number of people who have decided to make a change after you educate them. So here is some important data to keep track of for the report, and there's a link to the page for our website that is about this action competition, which you should check back regularly because it will have recordings of webinars and important information. So the number of webinars you attended or of which you watched the recordings, the number of students who attend the webinars and or watch the recordings, the number of volunteers, if any, who are involved in the implementation of this project. So volunteers could be parents, people from local companies who volunteer, general community members, and the number of volunteer hours which were invested into your project, the number of any formal or informal partnerships which were developed through collaboration as a direct result of this program or project. So for example, did you get the employees at a local company involved or a local watershed group? So for baseline data, it's also important to keep track of the number of community educational events which were held. So for example, the number of times students spoke in an assembly about water issues, the number of events at which they spoke, things like that. The number of people you educated, those who were 0 to 21 years of age and those who are 22 years of age and older. The number of people you surveyed, again split up into those age categories. The percentage of survey respondents who were correct when they responded to the first survey in regards to from where the city's tap water comes. The percentage of survey respondents who were correct when they responded to the last survey in regards to from where the city's tap water comes. Take pictures, shoot a video. You can submit up to 12 photos and one video that is 5 minutes in length or shorter. You won't be able to put that into the online form. You'll need to email that to me. So some possible research is, depending on your topic, it might be useful to include some facts in your presentation or the materials you use to educate your community. So for example, researching guidelines to Canadian drinking water quality, how much water is wasted by taking long showers, how much water is used for electricity. A small factor too might help your community understand the impact that a certain action has on the environment and water resources. Educating the community about potential benefits, like how much water can be saved in a year, will help them understand how much of an impact they can make. Are there any questions at this point? So I'm just going to pause for a minute here and see if there are any questions. Okay, and I don't see any questions, so we can proceed. So the next part is about educating the community. So once you have your baseline data, that's your next step. So think about what your data says. So what problem exists in your community? Are people not turning the tap off when they brush their teeth? Are they taking really long showers? So that's, like I say, one reason to survey people about a couple of different issues. So after completing your survey, develop a plan best suited to your baseline data. If most of your community does not know where their water comes from, you could focus efforts on that because that will be part of your report and part of what you're being judged on, as well as your project focus to maximize a positive change in this criterion. Since you are trying to create a quantifiable positive change, inform your audience about the actions that can create that change. For example, the amount of water that would be saved by limiting use of certain appliances, or how much water can be saved by turning the tap off when you brush your teeth, or every minute you cut from your shower time. Be sure that everyone you educate fills out your survey. So remember that in order for someone's data to count, they have to do the preliminary survey before they're educated, they need to be educated, and then they need to do the follow-up survey. Establishing your baseline data is important before educating your community because you can't go back and do it afterwards. Keep track of everyone who takes the survey. Get names or emails so that you can be sure that they will complete your follow-up survey as well. So there are many different ways to reach out to your audience in a fun and informative way. So you could have a poster session, you could have a presentation, you could have mail-outs, you can make videos. You could need to understand your audience to come up with a strategy that will be the most interesting to them. Is it mostly students? Is it mostly parents? How will you be able to get the general community involved? So you might give a formal presentation. So you might give a PowerPoint presentation or some kind of performance, educating on your issue. Specific information would be delivered, and the time commitment is necessary, and it's on a rigid schedule, so it starts at a certain time, it ends at a certain time, and people can ask questions after the presentation. You might want to have a poster session, so this is kind of like a science fair. So this would be a come and go event where you can interact with your audience individually. You can have a number of posters that are attractive and informative, and people can have a look at all of the posters and ask questions to help understand the issue. This is not a big time commitment for your audience because it's come and go, so they can come and leave as they wish. And you should make snacks available like coffee, tea, and cookies because that's always, people are always grateful for that. So ways to get your message out. So an informational video, so you can make an entertaining and educational video to show your issue. You could show how actions can be taken to remedy the issue. And you can show the video at an assembly and to family and friends. Ways to get your message out include handing out brochures or other informational materials, so leaflets for people to take home from school. You could hang posters around the school and the community. It's a less direct form of communication, and it might be harder for your audience to ask questions, but it could be easily ignored, or people could easily ignore it, or they could forget they have it or lose it. But if you hold an event, then this might be a way to remind them of what they need to be working on. If you hold an event, make sure that the participants fill out one of your surveys before they hear your information. This will contribute to your baseline data and increase your sample group. Afterwards, make sure they complete your follow-up survey to see how attitudes have changed. Keep track of who takes your survey. So that's very important. So now the grand prize. So there will be one national grand prize valued at $3,000 for the top school in Canada in the kindergarten to grade 8 category, and one national grand prize valued at $3,000 for the top school in Canada in the grade 9 to grade 12 category. Each national grand prize will include a water bottle filling station, a commemorative plaque, and possibly some reusable water bottles and/or water testing kits. There will also be a prize package for the top school in Saskatchewan. It is valued at $2,200 and it includes a water bottle filling station and a commemorative plaque. Note that if the top school or schools in Canada is or are located in Saskatchewan, then the second or the third place school in Saskatchewan will win the prize package valued at $2,000. So it doesn't exclude Saskatchewan schools from winning the grand prizes. Are there any questions? So I'll just pause for a minute here and see if there are any questions. Okay, and I see that there are no questions, so let's move on. So thank you for joining us today and taking part in the competition to raise awareness about water issues. Thank you to the W. Garfield Weston Foundation and RBC for their help, for their funding to make this project possible. And our next webinar will be the week of April 6, 2020. It will be about follow-up surveys and completing your final report. It'll be also recordings of the webinars will be available in case there's a day you're unable to attend. So any information you will need will be also on our website, and the recordings will be on our website and on YouTube. Attending webinars also allows you to chat with us about any immediate questions you have, or if there's anything you are unsure about. You can also bounce around ideas with us and other schools. So there doesn't seem to be questions during this webinar, but you can definitely contact us afterwards if you have any questions, after you think about things or after you watch the recording. So if you have any questions, if you need help, or would like the opportunity to chat about your project, please feel free to contact myself, Nicole. I'm actually a high school math teacher, and I would be more than happy to help you with the math for your project. I love math. So you can contact us by phone. So our phone number is there, 306-934-0389. By email, info@safewater.org. That's info@safewater.org. Check out our website. You can mail us letters, but hardly anybody does that anymore these days, as you likely well know. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing what's in the works for your projects.